The research vessel Stellar Dawn moved slowly through the empty space between stars. Commander Vextal stood on the bridge, watching the stars through the main viewing screen. His blue skin reflected the light from the control panels around him. The ship belonged to the Zephyrian Collective, a group of 7 alien species that work together to explore the galaxy and find new life. Dr. Kiraneth walked up to the commander, holding a datapad in her 6-fingered hands. Her large eyes glowed with excitement as she spoke in the musical language of her people. "Commander, we have found something amazing," she said. "The planet we discovered last week is sending out signals." Vextal turned away from the viewing screen. "What kind of signals?" "They appear to be educational transmissions," Kiraneth replied. "The beings on this planet seem to be sharing knowledge with each other through electromagnetic waves. We have never seen anything like this before." The commander felt his heart beating faster. In all their years of exploration, they had found many worlds with life. Most had simple creatures that lived in the water or on land. A few had beings smart enough to use tools, but they had never found a species that could send information through space. "Show me," Vextal said. Kiraneth touched her datapad and the main screen changed. Now it showed a blue and green planet covered with white clouds. "The planet appears to be called Earth by its inhabitants. They call themselves humans. Based on our scans, they have built cities and machines all over their world." Navigation Officer Zephylos looked up from his station. His tentacles moved nervously as he spoke. "Commander, should we move closer to study them?" "Not yet," Vextal replied. "First, we need to understand what kind of beings they are. Dr. Kiraneth, can you decode their transmissions?" "I have already started," she said. "The Universal Translator is working on their language now. It should not take long." Chief Science Officer Melfin joined them at the main screen. His gray skin was covered with the breathing slits that all members of his species had. "This is very exciting," he said. "A species that can communicate across their entire planet. They must be very advanced." 3 hours later, Dr. Kiraneth called everyone back to the bridge. "I have successfully decoded several of their transmissions," she announced. "The Universal Translator can now convert their language into ours. I believe these transmissions show us how humans live and what their society is like." "Excellent," said Commander Vextal. "Let us see what we can learn about our new neighbors." Kiraneth activated the first transmission. The screen showed a group of humans in what appeared to be a research station in a cold, snowy place. "This seems to be a documentary about human scientific work," she explained. The aliens watched as the humans on screen discovered something in the ice. They dug it up and brought it back to their station. Then something terrible happened. The thing they found was alive and it began to change shape. It could look like any of the humans. One by one, the humans began to die in horrible ways as the creature killed them and took their forms. Zephylos made a choking sound. "Are we sure this is educational material?" "It must be," Kiraneth said. "They are broadcasting it to teach others about the dangers they face." The transmission ended, with most of the humans dead and the creature still alive. The aliens stared at the screen in shock. "What kind of world do they live on?" Melfin whispered. "They have creatures that can take any shape and kill without warning." Commander Vextal felt cold despite the warm air on the bridge. "Show us." Another transmission. Perhaps this was just about one dangerous area of their planet. The second transmission showed humans in what looked like a spacecraft. The aliens felt relieved until they saw what happened next. A creature with long black fingers and 2 mouths full of sharp teeth began hunting the humans through their ship. The humans died one by one in ways that made several alien crew members leave the bridge to be sick. "Their space travel is even more dangerous than their planet," Zephylos said. His tentacles were now wrapped tightly around his body. "How do they survive?" The third transmission was worse. It showed a young human female whose head could turn completely around. She could also walk on walls and ceilings. Other humans tried to help her, but she killed them with powers that seemed to come from nowhere. The aliens watched in horror as furniture moved by itself and humans were thrown around like toys. "They have supernatural abilities," Nelson said, in a shaking voice. "Some humans can control objects with their minds and possess incredible strength." Dr. Karaneth played transmission after transmission. Each one showed humans facing terrible dangers or doing horrible things to each other. They saw humans being chased by men with knives and chainsaws. They watched humans trapped in rooms where they had to hurt themselves to escape. They saw humans who came back from the dead to hunt the living. "This is impossible," said Engineer Polinex, who had joined them from the engine room. "How can any species survive in such conditions?" "They must be incredibly strong and violent," Vextel replied. "Look at how they fight these creatures and each other. They show no fear even when facing death." The most disturbing transmission showed humans who seemed to enjoy hurting others. They built elaborate traps and games designed to cause pain and terror. The aliens watched as humans were forced to make terrible choices to survive. "They use torture as entertainment," Kiranis said quietly. "They are more dangerous than any species we have ever encountered." Zephylos could not watch anymore. "Commander, we need to leave this area immediately. If these humans ever develop faster space travel, they will be a threat to every peaceful species in the galaxy." Melvin was studying his scanner. "According to these readings, there are over 7 billion humans on that planet. 7 billion of these creatures all living together despite the constant danger and violence." "That settles it," Commander Vextel announced. "We will return to Nexus Prime immediately and warn the Galactic Council. This planet and its inhabitants must be avoided at all costs. No ship should come within 50 light-years of Earth." The stellar dawn turned away from the small blue planet. None of the aliens realized they had just watched humanity's greatest works of fiction. They had no idea that humans created these stories for fun and that the real Earth was a mostly peaceful world where such things existed only in imagination. The greatest misunderstanding in galactic history had just begun. The Great Council chamber on Nexus Prime had never been so quiet. Representatives from 43 different species sat in their assigned seats, all eyes focused on the large viewing screen at the center of the room. Commander Vextel stood beside the screen, his hands shaking slightly as he prepared to show the evidence that would change everything. "Honored council members," Vextel began, "what you are about to see will disturb you greatly. My crew and I have discovered a species that threatens the safety of every peaceful civilization in our galaxy." High Counselor Theteron, an ancient being whose species had founded the Galactic Council 3,000 years ago, leaned forward in her floating chair. "That is a serious claim, Commander. Please show us your evidence." Vextel activated the first recording. The Council watched in growing horror as humans fought shape-changing monsters, supernatural beings, and each other in the most creative and violent ways imaginable. The chamber filled with sounds of shock and disgust as representatives saw what they believed was actual footage of human society. Counselor Brintok of the Etherean Republic fainted halfway through the first recording. His assistant quickly carried him from the chamber. 2 members of the Gentle Collective, a species known for their complete rejection of violence, began making high-pitched wailing sounds and had to be sedated. "These beings call themselves humans," Vextel continued as the recordings played. "They inhabit a planet called Earth in the outer spiral arm. As you can see, they possess supernatural abilities including the power to return from death, control objects with their minds, and survive injuries that would kill any normal being." The recording showed a human female whose head rotated completely around while she spoke in an impossible voice. Several council members gasped and covered their eyes. Dr. Kiraneth stepped forward to address the council. "Our analysis suggests that humans use violence and terror as forms of entertainment. They appear to enjoy causing and experiencing pain. They have also developed weapons and torture devices that demonstrate a level of cruelty we have never encountered." The next recording showed humans trapped in elaborate death traps, forced to harm themselves to escape. Counselor Nexara of the Crystal Kingdom stood up abruptly. "I cannot watch anymore," she announced. "If these creatures ever leave their planet, they will destroy everything we have built." High Counselor Thitteran raised her hand for silence. "Commander Vextal, how many of these humans exist?" "Over 7 billion, Honorable Counselor," Vextal replied. "They have spread across their entire planet and have already begun exploring space around their world." A wave of panic spread through the chamber. Representatives began talking frantically among themselves in dozens of different languages. The translation system could barely keep up with all the urgent conversations happening at once. "Order," the Terran called. "We must remain calm and consider our options carefully." General Korax of the Krillian Empire stood up. His species was known throughout the galaxy for their military strength and warrior culture. "Honorable Counselor, the Krillian Empire has seen enough. We are immediately withdrawing all our ships from that sector and beginning development of new defensive weapons. If these humans ever achieve faster-than-light travel, we must be ready." "The Peaceful Alliance agrees," said Ambassador Yilseth. "We are ordering our exploration fleets to avoid the entire region around Earth. We will also begin construction of defensive barriers around our home systems." Meanwhile, far from Nexus Prime, Dr. Lisa Martinez sat in her small office at the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence Institute on Earth. She stared at her computer screen in confusion, studying readings from the massive radio telescope. Array outside. For the past week, her equipment had detected dozens of artificial signals from space, all coming from different directions around Earth's solar system. "Ryan, come look at this," she called to her colleague Dr. Ryan Murphy, who was working at the next desk. Ryan rolled his chair over and studied Lisa's screen. "That's incredible," he said. "These signals are definitely artificial. They're too organized to be natural phenomena." "But look at this," Lisa said, pointing to another part of her screen. All the signals appeared within a few hours of each other, and then they all disappeared just as quickly. "It's like someone was watching us and then suddenly left." Ryan frowned. "Maybe we did something to scare them away?" "But what could we have done?" Lisa asked. "We've been broadcasting the same signals we always do. We haven't changed anything." "About our communications." Back on Nexus Prime, the emergency council session continued. High Counselor Thitteran had called for an immediate vote on the Earth situation. All those in favor of establishing an exclusion zone around the human planet? Every single representative raised their hand, tentacle, or other appendage to vote yes. The motion passed unanimously. "The exclusion zone will extend 50 light-years in all directions from Earth," the Terran announced. "We will place automated warning beacons throughout the region to alert any ships that might accidentally enter the area." Within hours, construction ships were building warning beacons faster than any project in galactic history. The beacons broadcast messages in every known language. Danger, apex predator species do not approach, and warning, supernatural entities confirmed, extreme threat to all life. Captain Jake Harrison had been looking forward to this day for 10 years. Earth's first interstellar probe ship was finally ready for its maiden voyage beyond the solar system. The ship was small but fast, designed to explore nearby star systems and look for signs of life. "All systems green, Captain," reported Lieutenant Kelly Brooks from the engineering station. "We're ready to engage the experimental faster-than-light drive." "Excellent," Jake replied. "Take us to our first destination. Let's go meet our neighbors." The ship jumped to light speed and emerged near a star system 20 light-years from Earth. Immediately, Jake's instruments detected multiple ships. "Nearby, Captain," called Communications Officer Dan Foster. "We're being scanned by several vessels." "They appear to be alien ships?" Jake felt his heart racing with excitement. This is it, everyone. First contact with an alien civilization? Open a channel and send our peaceful greeting message. Before Dan could respond, all the alien ships suddenly began moving away from them at incredible speed. Within minutes, the alien fleet had disappeared into hyperspace, leaving Jake and his crew alone and confused. "What just happened?" asked Lieutenant Brooks. Jake stared at the empty space where the alien ships had been. I have no idea, he said. It's like they took one look at us and ran away as fast as they could. On the Krillian warship that had just fled from Jake's probe, General Mordick was reporting to his superiors. We encountered a human vessel, sir. We immediately retreated as ordered. The humans made no attempt to pursue us, but we detected massive energy readings from their ship. Their technology appears to be more advanced than our intelligence suggested. What General Mortag had actually detected was Jake's experimental engine cooling down, but the Krillians interpreted the energy signature as some kind of terrible weapon. The news that humans had achieved faster-than-light travel spread through the galaxy like wildfire. The exclusion zone was immediately expanded to 100 light-years, and 3 more species announced they were evacuating to distant galaxies. On Earth, Dr. Lisa Martinez continued monitoring the skies, unaware that humanity had just become the most feared species in galactic history. She noticed that the alien signals had completely stopped appearing near Earth, but she had no idea why. It's like they're all avoiding us, she told Ryan. But we haven't done anything threatening. Ryan looked up from his own computer screen. Maybe that's the problem, he said. Maybe silence is more frightening than any message we could send. Neither of them realized how right Ryan was, or that humanity's greatest works of imagination had accidentally made them the boogeymen of the entire galaxy. 6 months had passed since the Galactic Council established the exclusion zone around Earth. Dr. Ellen Foster sat in her office at the SETI Institute, studying the strange patterns in alien signal detection that had puzzled scientists for months. As Earth's leading expert in alien psychology, she had been asked to help figure out why extraterrestrial contact attempts had suddenly stopped. There's definitely a pattern here, Ellen said to her assistant, Dr. Marcus Webb. Every time we detect an alien signal, it disappears the moment our ships get close enough to make contact. It's like they're afraid of something. Marcus looked over her shoulder at the data on her computer screen. But afraid of what? We've been sending peaceful messages. We've shown them our art, our music, our science. What could possibly frighten? An advanced spacefaring civilization about us? Ellen shook her head. I don't know, but whatever it is, it's working. We've had 17 contact opportunities in 6 months, and every single one ended the same way. The aliens run away the moment they detect human life signs. Far away on the alien research station Haven Point, Dr. Nithara was having the worst week of her scientific career. As the collective's leading expert on dangerous species, she had been assigned to continue studying human transmissions to better understand the threat they posed. What she had discovered in the past few days made her wish she had chosen a different profession. Emergency council meeting, she announced over the station's communication system. I have discovered something terrible about the humans. They are worse than we thought. Within an hour, representatives from 12 different species had joined the emergency video conference. Dr. Nithara activated her presentation with trembling hands. Fellow scientists, she began, I have been monitoring human transmissions continuously for the past month. 3 days ago, I intercepted a massive broadcast that appears to show the current state of human civilization. The screen filled with images from Earth's Walking Dead Marathon, a week-long television event that had been broadcast globally. The alien scientists watched in growing horror as humans fought against armies of their own dead, who had somehow returned to life with an insatiable hunger for living flesh. As you can see, Nithara continued, the humans are currently fighting a war against their own deceased. Somehow, they have lost control of death itself. The dead walk among them, hunting the living. Counselor Bexara of the Timid Collective began making the whistling sound his species made when terrified. How is this possible? How can any species weaponize death? It gets worse, Nithara said. Watch this. She played footage from the show that appeared to show humans learning to fight the walking dead, using weapons and tactics specifically designed to destroy reanimated corpses. They have adapted to this situation, she explained. They have learned to fight and kill beings that are already dead. This suggests they have been dealing with supernatural threats for a long time. Doctor, Felmuth of the Gentle Republic raised a shaking tentacle. Are you saying the humans can kill death itself? Before Nathara could answer, her assistant burst into the room. Doctor, we've intercepted another human transmission. This one is even worse. The new transmission showed what appeared to be humans voluntarily injuring themselves in increasingly creative and painful ways. The aliens watched in sick fascination as humans jumped off buildings with only a rope tied to their legs, threw themselves down mountains on small boards, and launched each other through the air using various contraptions. They hurt themselves for entertainment, whispered Counselor Yextal. Look at how the other humans react. They're laughing and cheering while their own species members suffer terrible injuries. What the aliens were actually watching was a compilation of extreme sports and stunt shows, but to them it looked like evidence that humans had such a high tolerance for pain that they injured themselves for fun. This explains everything, Nathara said. The humans are so accustomed to violence and pain that normal levels of suffering provide no satisfaction. They must constantly escalate to more extreme forms of harm to feel anything at all. The emergency session was interrupted by another priority transmission from the monitoring station. The technician who appeared on screen looked like he had not slept in days. Doctors, we have a crisis. We just intercepted what appears to be a human cooking show immediately following footage of their undead war. The humans appear to be eating their enemies. The screen showed a chef preparing what looked like human-shaped food while discussing proper cooking techniques. The aliens had no way of knowing they were watching a horror-themed cooking show where the chef made zombie-shaped cakes and monster-themed meals. Cannibalism, breathed Dr. Nathara. They eat their own dead enemies. This species has no limits. On Earth, Commander Alex Chun was preparing for humanity's second attempt at interstellar contact. The mission had been planned for months after the failure of Jake Harrison's first probe. This time, they were sending a larger ship with a full diplomatic team. Remember everyone, Alex told his crew aboard the ship New Horizons. We represent all of humanity today. Let's make a good first impression. Communications Officer Janet Price smiled from her station. I've prepared our standard peaceful greeting in 17 different mathematical languages. If there's intelligent life out there, they'll understand we come in peace. The New Horizons jumped to hyperspace and emerged in a system where Earth's deep space monitors had detected regular alien traffic. Almost immediately, their sensors picked up a large alien vessel nearby. Contact, Janet announced. Large ship, definitely artificial. They're scanning us. Alex felt his heart pounding with excitement. This is it. Open a channel and send our greeting. Before Janet could transmit, the alien ship began broadcasting a message. The ship's computer worked frantically to translate the alien language. Translation. Coming through now, Captain, Janet reported. They're saying, please don't hurt us, we have families. Alex stared at the screen in confusion. What? Why would they think we want to hurt them? The alien ship continued broadcasting increasingly. Desperate messages. We surrender. We will leave immediately. Please spare our younglings. Captain, called Science Officer Peter Walsh from his station. They're powering up their engines. I think they're about to run away. Try to respond, Alex ordered. Tell them we're peaceful. Tell them we just want to talk. Janet sent their prepared greeting, but it was too late. The alien ship jumped to hyperspace and disappeared, leaving the human crew staring at empty space. What just happened? Asked Peter. Alex shook his head slowly. I have no idea, but somehow they were terrified of us before we even said anything. Back at the alien monitoring station, the news of the encounter spread quickly through the research team. The fact that humans had approached an alien vessel and caused it to flee in terror was seen as proof of their aggressive nature. They're expanding their territory, reported the station commander to the Galactic Council. The humans are actively seeking out other species. Their expansion has begun. Dr. Nathara was called to give another emergency briefing. This time, even more species representatives attended the meeting. Fear was spreading through the galaxy faster than any disease. The evidence is overwhelming, she told the assembled. Delegates. Humans control death itself, they eat their enemies, they enjoy pain and suffering, and now they are actively hunting other species. We must assume they plan to spread across the galaxy like a plague. High Counselor Thetaran looked older than her 3,000 years. What do you recommend, Doctor? Complete evacuation of this galaxy, Nephara replied without hesitation. We should consider relocating the entire Galactic Council to the Andromeda Galaxy before the humans develop better space travel. The motion to begin evacuation procedures passed by a vote of 38 to 5. 3 more species announced immediate plans to flee to distant galaxies, and the exclusion zone around Earth was expanded to 500 light-years on Earth. Dr. Ella Foster continued studying the strange alien behavior patterns, unaware that humanity had just been voted the most dangerous species in galactic history. She was beginning to suspect that the aliens' fear might be based on some kind of misunderstanding, but she could not imagine what that misunderstanding might be. Whatever we did to scare them, she told Marcus, it must have been pretty bad. They're not just avoiding us anymore. It's like they're afraid we're going to chase them across the galaxy. She had no idea how right she was. The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been going on for 6 hours, and High Counselor Thetaran looked like she had aged another century. Commander Vextal stood at the center of the Great Chamber, surrounded by representatives from dozens of species who were all talking at once in various languages. The translation system was working overtime to keep up with the chaos. Order, Thetaran called, banging her ceremonial staff against the floor. Commander Vextal has requested this emergency session to discuss new information about the human threat. Let him speak. Vextal cleared his throat nervously. Honored council members, I must inform you that we have made a significant error in our assessment of human capabilities and intentions. The chamber erupted in confused voices. Counselor. Brintak of the Etherian Republic raised a tentacle. What kind of error, Commander? The transmissions we believed were human documentaries, Vextal continued, are actually fictional entertainment. Humans create false stories for recreational purposes. They do not actually possess supernatural abilities they do not control. Armies of the dead, and they are not a violent species seeking to conquer the galaxy. The silence that followed was so complete that the only sound in the chamber was the humming of the life support systems. Then, slowly, the implications of Vextal's words began to sink in. General Corax of the Krillian Empire stood up slowly. Are you telling us, he said in a dangerously quiet voice, that we have spent the past year building defenses against creatures from human imagination? That is correct, General, Vextal replied. The chamber exploded into chaos. Representatives jumped to their feet, shouting in dozens of languages. Several species demanded to know why their fleets had been recalled, why their worlds had been evacuated, and why they had spent enormous amounts of resources building defenses against fictional monsters. Dr. Nithara, who had given countless briefings about the human threat, sat in her chair looking like she wanted to disappear into the floor. She had become the galaxy's leading expert on a species she had completely misunderstood. How can we be certain this new information is accurate? Asked Counselor Yextal. Perhaps this is a human deception to make us lower our defenses. We have verified the information through multiple sources, Vextal explained. Engineer Polanex established direct communication with human scientists who explained the concept of fiction in detail. We even watched one of their fictional stories together while they explained how it was created. High Counselor Thetaran rubbed her temples. So you're telling us that we declared the most dangerous species in galactic history based on their entertainment programs? Yes, Honorable Counselor. The embarrassment in the chamber was so thick it could have been cut with a knife. Species that had fled to distant galaxies would need to be contacted and told they could return. Defense projects that had consumed massive resources would need to be shut down. Warning beacons that had been placed throughout hundreds of star systems would need to be removed, but the most embarrassing part was still to come. The humans have requested a meeting, Vextal announced. They wished to establish formal diplomatic relations with the Galactic Council. 3 weeks later, Admiral Susan Cross stood on the bridge of Earth's newest and most advanced ship, the Harmony. She had been chosen to lead humanity's first official diplomatic mission to meet alien civilizations. The ship carried a crew of 50 humans, including scientists, diplomats, linguists, and cultural experts. "Admiral," called Communications Officer Mike Chun from his station, "we're receiving multiple signals from the meeting coordinates. There are a lot of ships out there." Susan looked at the main viewing screen as they dropped out of hyperspace near the neutral meeting point that had been agreed upon. What she saw made her gasp. Hundreds of alien ships floated in space around a massive space station. Some of the ships looked like they were ready for battle, while others appeared to be fleeing in the opposite direction. "This is either going to be the greatest day in human history," said Ambassador Rick Stone, "or the most awkward." Dr. Lisa Martinez, who had been invited as Earth's scientific representative, studied the alien fleet through the ship's telescopes. "Look at the variety," she said excitedly. "There must be dozens of different species represented here." The space station they approached was enormous, clearly built specifically for this meeting. As the Harmony docked with the station, Susan could see alien faces pressed against windows, all staring at the human ship with expressions that looked like a mixture of curiosity and terror. The meeting took place in a vast chamber designed to accommodate representatives from many different species. When the human delegation entered, the effect was immediate and dramatic. Several alien representatives fainted upon seeing actual humans in person. Others backed away so quickly they bumped into walls. A few species began making high-pitched sounds that the translators identified as prayers. Ambassador Rick Stone stepped forward and spoke into the translation device. "Greetings from the people of Earth. We come in peace and friendship, hoping to establish positive relations with all species." High Counselor Thiteron floated forward in her ceremonial chair, looking extremely uncomfortable. "Welcome, humans. We must begin this meeting with an apology from the Galactic Council." "An apology?" Rick asked, confused. "We have spent the past year believing your species to be supernatural monsters based on your fictional entertainment programs," Thiteron explained. "We now understand that we completely misinterpreted your transmissions." Dr. Martinez stepped forward. "You mean you've been avoiding us because of our movies?" "That is correct," replied Dr. Nithara, who looked like she wanted to hide behind her chair. "We believed your horror films were documentary evidence of human society." The human delegation looked at each other in amazement. Rick began to smile. "You thought our science fiction and horror movies were real?" "We had no concept of fictional entertainment," Commander Vextel admitted. "When we saw humans fighting monsters and supernatural beings, we assumed these were actual events." Dr. Martinez burst into laughter. "You were afraid of us because of movies like The Thing and Alien?" "And The Walking Dead," added Dr. Karaneth quietly. "We believed humans had weaponized death itself." The human delegation began laughing, which caused several alien representatives to back away in fear until Rick explained that laughter was a sign of happiness, not aggression. "This is incredible," said Dr. Martinez. "We've been wondering for months why you kept running away from us. We thought maybe we had offended you somehow." The most embarrassing moment came when the alien delegation presented their defensive gifts. These included blessed talismans that were supposed to protect against human supernatural abilities, special foods they believed would satisfy human cannibalistic urges, and technological devices designed to detect human mind control. "We spent 6 months developing these protections," General Corax explained, looking thoroughly embarrassed. "Our entire military was restructured to defend against fictional threats." Rick accepted the gifts graciously. "These are wonderful," he said diplomatically, "though I should mention that humans are actually vegetarians by choice in many cases, and we definitely don't have any supernatural powers." The meeting continued for hours as both sides worked to clear up the massive misunderstanding. The aliens were amazed to learn that humans were actually quite peaceful and had developed fiction as a form of safe entertainment. The humans were fascinated to discover that most alien species had never developed imaginative storytelling the way humans had. "Your creativity is remarkable," said Engineer Polanex. "You can imagine entire worlds and beings that never existed, then create visual representations so realistic that even advanced species believed they were real." As the formal ceremonies concluded, High Counselor Thetarin made an official announcement. "The Galactic Council hereby welcomes humanity as our newest member species. We also formally apologize for the exclusion zone and the warning beacons, which will be removed immediately." The news spread across the galaxy faster than any previous announcement. Species that had fled to distant galaxies began making plans to return. Defense projects were shut down and converted to peaceful purposes. The warning beacons were replaced with welcome messages. But the most interesting development came a few weeks later. Word had spread throughout the galaxy about human fictional entertainment, and aliens began requesting access to human movies and stories. They were fascinated by humanity's ability to create compelling false realities. Dr. Ben Torres, who had helped establish the first communication with aliens, found himself running the new intergalactic cultural exchange program. His office was flooded with requests from alien species wanting to understand human fiction. "We've got 17 different species requesting copies of horror movies," he told Dr. Amy Richardson. "They want to experience what they call safe fear," Amy laughed. "6 months ago, they thought our movies were documentaries about supernatural monsters. Now they want to watch them for fun." The final scene of humanity's first contact with alien civilization took place in a movie theater on the space station that had been built for their meeting. A mixed audience of humans and aliens sat together watching a classic human horror film. Zara 9 stood in the observation deck of the research vessel Harmony's Edge, watching the stars drift past through the massive viewport. Her silver eyes reflected the distant light as she checked her datapad one more time. Today would bring another first contact evaluation. Something she had done hundreds of times before for the Galactic Coalition. The Caltharian scientist adjusted her bioscanner and ran through the standard protocols in her mind. Every species reacted differently to first meetings, and her unique biology made her perfect for these situations. When danger approached any Caltharian, their eyes would shift from natural silver to bright blue as a warning system. This ancient adaptation had saved her people countless times over thousands of years. Her communication device buzzed with an incoming message from Captain Vox 12. The Coalition had received a request from a newly discovered species called humans. They wanted permission to dock and discuss joining the galactic community. Zara read through the basic information about them. They came from a small blue planet called Earth and had only recently developed faster-than-light travel. Most Coalition members viewed such young species as primitive but potentially useful. For manual labor in dangerous sectors, the human ship appeared on her scanner as a simple metal vessel called the Liberty Dawn. It looked crude compared to Coalition technology, with visible welding marks and basic design elements. Zara made notes about their construction methods while waiting for the docking procedures to complete. Through the transparent barrier of the docking bay, she watched 3 humans exit their ship. The first was a tall man with brown hair who seemed to be their leader. Behind him walked a woman with blonde hair carrying scientific equipment, and another man with dark hair who appeared to be checking their ship's systems. Zara activated her bioscanner to begin the standard evaluation process. The device would measure stress levels, biological markers, and potential threat assessments while she observed their behavior patterns. She had performed this same routine with over 50 different species during her career with the Coalition. The human leader looked around the docking bay with obvious curiosity rather than fear. Most species showed signs of nervousness or aggression when entering Coalition space for the first time. These humans seemed different. They moved with confidence but not arrogance, examining their surroundings with what appeared to be genuine interest. Then something unprecedented happened. The human leader turned and looked directly at her through the observation deck's transparent barrier. Their eyes met across the space between them. and Zara felt a strange sensation she had never experienced before. Her eyes should have turned blue. Every instinct told her that an unknown species looking at her should trigger the danger response that had protected Caltharians for millennia. Instead, her eyes shifted to a warm amber color that should not exist in her species' biology. Zara stepped back from the viewport in shock. She raised her hand to touch her face, feeling the familiar warmth that accompanied eye color changes. But amber was impossible. Caltharian eyes only shifted between silver for normal situations and blue for danger. There was no amber setting. In their genetic programming, the human continued to look at her with what seemed like friendly curiosity. He raised his hand in what she recognized as a greeting gesture from the cultural files. Instead of feeling threatened by this unknown alien, Zara found herself wanting to respond in kind. She checked her bioscanner readings. All systems showed normal function. Her danger detection mechanisms were working perfectly. The device confirmed that her ocular implants and neural pathways were operating within standard parameters. Yet her eyes remained that impossible amber color as long as the human looked at her. Dr. Keth 7 entered the observation deck behind her. Zara 9, your readings are showing unusual patterns. Is there a problem with the evaluation? She turned to face her colleague, and immediately her eyes returned to their normal silver color. I am experiencing an unprecedented biological response to the human delegation. Keth 7 checked his own scanners. Your systems appear to be functioning. Normally, what kind of response? Zara looked back toward the docking bay. The human leader was now speaking with Coalition personnel, but he glanced up at the observation deck again. The moment their eyes met, the amber shift returned. My danger. Warning system is not activating, she explained. Instead, I am experiencing a color change that should not be possible in our species. Keth 7 observed the readings on his scanner with growing concern. This has never been documented in Caltharian biology. We should run full medical diagnostics. Immediately. The 3 humans were now being escorted through the ship by Coalition security. Standard protocol required them to undergo medical examinations and cultural briefings. Before any formal meetings could take place, Zara watched them disappear down the corridor, noting how they stayed close together but not in a defensive formation. I need to understand what is happening to me, Zara said. The amber color appears only when the human leader looks at me directly. It disappears when he looks away. Keth 7 made notes on his datapad. We will test your responses with other species immediately. If your danger detection system has malfunctioned, you could be at serious risk during future evaluations. They spent the next hour running diagnostics with various Coalition species. Zara's eyes turned blue appropriately when aggressive Vorthan merchants entered the testing area. They shifted blue again when territorial Nexus traders made threatening gestures. Every test confirmed that her biological systems worked perfectly with known species, but when Captain Jake Murphy of the human delegation entered the medical bay for his own examination, Zara's eyes immediately returned to that warm amber color. She found herself studying his face with interest rather than caution. He had kind eyes and moved with purpose but not aggression. Jake noticed her unusual eye color and approached with obvious curiosity. I hope you don't mind me asking, but is that normal for your species? The color change is fascinating. Most aliens either feared the Caltharian danger detection system or tried to exploit it for tactical advantage. Jake's response showed genuine scientific interest without any hidden agenda that she could detect. It is not normal, Zara admitted. My eyes should turn blue when sensing potential danger. They have never shown this amber color before meeting. Your delegation, Jake tilted his head thoughtfully. Maybe that means you don't sense danger from us. My people believe that first impressions often reveal important truths about compatibility between different groups. The simple explanation made sense, but it raised even more questions about human nature and her own biological responses. Zara realized she wanted to learn more about these unusual aliens who somehow bypassed millions of years of evolutionary programming with nothing more than honest curiosity.